They besieged the house of Uthman. Imagine this. This is the mihrab of the Prophet ﷺ. After a while, they don't let Uthman come out of his house. He prays at home. Who leads the salah? This is a Bukhari narration. Who leads the salah? One of the rebels leads the salah. The house of Uthman, from the mihrab where the Prophet ﷺ led the salah, is from here to where that door is, at the furthest. And now Uthman can no longer come to the masjid. So listen to this narration. They come to Uthman radiallahu anhu and they say to Uthman, they say, "Oh Uthman, one of the rebels is leading the salah. We don't want to pray salah behind him. One of the rebels is leading salah. We don't want to pray salah behind one of the rebels." Uthman says to this person, regarding those people who have besieged his home, won't let him go to the salah, and his house is that close. He says to them, him leading salah, is it good or bad? He said, it's a good action. He said, then take the good and leave the evil. This was amazing. Look, these people eventually ended up killing Uthman radiallahu anhu. But you look at the sabr, you look at the nature of Uthman radiallahu anhu. Let nobody fight on his behalf. He said, the rebels, if they're leading salah in the masjid Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, pray salah behind them. Eventually, a day comes that the rebels, they attack the house of Uthman radiallahu anhu. The first person jumps over the wall, and Uthman, before this, the narrations mentioned that Uthman radiallahu anhu would fast. For 40 days he had been fasting. And that night he goes to sleep, and he sees the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he says, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, "Oh Uthman, tomorrow you open your fast with us." Uthman wakes up, his wife Naila says he was in a very happy, joyous mood. And he says to her, "Today I will meet the Messenger of Allah and the Sahaba radiallahu anhu." And then he goes to the guards. He said, "I take a qasam by Allah that you will shed no believer's blood on my behalf." And then the narration mentioned, La ilaha illallah. Uthman goes, he ties his bottom garment tight. You know who Uthman was? One day the Messenger of Allah was sitting with Aisha radiallahu anha, and Abu Bakr entered, and the Messenger of Allah had a portion of his leg exposed, and he sat how he was. Then Umar entered, he sat how he was. And then there was a knock on the door, and it was Uthman, and the Prophet ﷺ quickly put his garment straight. And after they left, Aisha radiallahu anha said, "O Messenger of Allah, my father came, you remained in the position. Umar came, why did you change your position? Why did you cover your leg when Uthman came?" The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Shouldn't I have haya? Shouldn't I have shame from the man that even the angels have shame from?" He ties his garment. He sits down to read the Quran. You know how relevant that the last thing that this man does is read the Quran. I'll tell you why. Because the Quran that you have today, the Mushaf Uthmani, was gathered by Uthman. It was gathered by Uthman radiallahu anhu. Ali would say, never say anything bad about Uthman, for he collated the entire Quran. So he sits down to read the Quran. The first man jumps the wall. He grabs the beard of Uthman radiallahu anhu, and Uthman said, "Leave my beard, for indeed your father used to honor this beard." You know how old Uthman was? 82 years old. This man leaves, he's embarrassed. Another two come, they jump over, and then they strike Uthman radiallahu anhu. Uthman lifts his hand like this, and they cut off his hand. And this was amazing. Why? I'll tell you why. Because Uthman was the scribe of the Messenger of Allah. It's a possibility, many scholars write, that this was the first hand which ever wrote the Quran. This hand which was chopped off was possibly the first hand which ever wrote the eternal word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then they jumped on Uthman radiallahu anhu, they stabbed him 9 times until radiallahu anhu was martyred.